I will preface by saying I got the Omicrons. So I'm so sorry about my voice, about my like dead appearance. I've tried to cover it up somehow, but it's hard. It's hard. But we make do, because that's what you do when you live in a pandemic world. Hi everybody, what's going on? It's your spooky ghoul, Brazilian Batgirl, and as usual, when another year ends, I'm getting a little bit reflective. I see all these posts and videos and photos, like everything of year in review, where people talk about, you know, their goals that they hit or that they missed, and what important life lessons they learned this year, and what they accomplished, or how they grew as a person, or how incorporating a different morning routine or a nighttime routine like changed their entire life. Like all these things talking about their year. But when I tried to reflect on my past year and all of its teachings and experiences and all that stuff that year-end reflection brings, all I could really do is just think about my bikes. Not only did I think about my experiences and everything I've lived on bikes this past year, but I also couldn't help but feel this like immense gratitude when thinking about them. So really, all I could do was think about how thankful I am for these bikes and my experiences on them. And that's what this video is, a thank you reflection for each of these bikes and what I've learned in this past like year in bikes. First, I want to talk about a bike that I've been borrowing for an extended period of time from my friend, which is the Grom. Yes, I know it's a low bike, so why even mention it? But honestly, this bike is just so fun. And yes, I only rode it like to go get milk or to go to the bank or when I just had to go to the gym really quick. Little like mindless, boring commuting. But even that turned into something fun and easy thanks to the Grom. And the Grom also reminds me to not take myself so seriously, which I don't know if you've noticed based on my track experiences, but it is very easy for me to get into my head and then I start to overthink everything, especially when it comes to bikes. I follow a lot of motorcycle like hashtags and content creators, and seeing all of those posts and information, like sometimes I'm just like, what the heck am I doing in this community? Because honestly, I think like 90% of motorcycle content that's out there is just like, it's everybody looking so cool and being so badass. And I'm not like that. Like I don't have that effortless cool like vibe going on. I don't stage these like wonderfully epic shots with such a deep, beautiful caption that you're like, that resonates with me as a motorcycle rider. I don't do that. Whether it's the full leathers, like knee draggers, or the adventure and like dirt riders that are out conquering terrains. And then there's the cafe racer people that are like super classy and retro, which I know a lot of people tend to not like that or just like kind of hate on them, but that's not the message. The message is like the aesthetic, right? It just looks super cool. And then there's like this different category of people that are in like business suits or regular clothes, kind of like squidding it up, and then they have helmets or like some gear on, and then they look super cool while doing it too. Like, I don't know, I love motorcycle content and everything just looks so cool, and I'm like, I definitely don't contribute to that. But then when I get on the Grom, I kind of step away from all of that, and it's just a reminder that I don't have to take myself that seriously, that maybe some people are effortlessly cool and some people just aren't. That's not the point. Like the point is it's just to have a good time. Like, do I go fast on the Grom? No. Do I look cool while riding it? No. But am I enjoying myself and having a really good time? Yes. And that's what I think the bare bones of riding is and is about. It's about having a good time, and I really thank the Grom for consistently reminding me of that every time I take it out. And I still take it out. When I go to the gym, most of the times I go on the Grom because it's super close by, except on a day like today where it's like almost freezing outside, then no. We got the R3 back in, I think October. I'm not 100% sure. I'm gonna make a video on this bike, like talking a little bit more about it. If anybody is interested, when it's up, I'll have it up here and down below, but it's not up yet. But we got the R3 for the track. After I got a comment on one of my last track videos, I was like, honestly, this could be it. At first, you're like, no. But then, like, consistently having the same sort of struggles on the Ducati on the track, I'm like, maybe I should look into like a smaller bike, honestly. And just because I don't like one type of smaller bike, like I didn't really like one of them, doesn't mean that I'm not gonna like any of them, right? Basically, what I'm trying to say while beating around it is just because I didn't like the Ninja doesn't mean that I don't have other options out there. I was just like, I don't like the Ninja, I'm not getting a Ninja, that's it, let's get something else. So then we got a Ducati. That's just like a gross oversimplification of what happened, but we got the R3, right, to better the track experience and to better our riding on the track, but we'll still track the Ducati, like that's still why we have it. But yeah, so I haven't ridden it on the track, obviously. I've ridden it once on the road, and I do want to say that while there isn't very much practical experience for me to draw on here for this bike, because I've only ridden it once, I'm really glad I rode this bike because I can plant not 1, but 2 feet firmly on the ground when I come to a full stop with the R3. Do you know how revolutionary that is for me? I don't do that. I'm tall, but I have short legs. I'm built like a fish, okay? And like, I always tippy toe, even on the Ducati, when I come to a stop, like kind of tippy toe on a leg. My DR is even worse. That's never stopped me before, but it's also why I have such a phobia of parking the bike, because backing up, you need to have your feet on the ground and walk backwards. I can't, I'm like tippy toe. It's a struggle, okay? It's really awkward. It's how it is. But on the R3, I didn't have that problem. As soon as I figured that out, I was like, I want to go park this bike. So I was really happy that I found a bike that I'm able to put both feet on the ground firmly and just come to a full stop and just have my feet on the ground. Both of them. It's groundbreaking for me. It's confidence inspiring, even if it's on an R3. So I'm really thankful that I got to experience that this year because I never have. I know I just talked about the Grom, and I can do that on the Grom technically, but I mean on like a fuller size bike, okay? But I'm also really thankful for this bike because of the possibility that it brings. It's that bike that every time I look at it in the garage, I just think of the possibilities and what am I gonna experience? What am I gonna learn? What's gonna happen this summer? What are we gonna go through together? And that excitement, that like eager energy for the summer and for track riding is so good to have. So I'm also really thankful that I have a bike that is bringing that to me every time I look at it. Honorable mention here goes to our Ducati Monster 821, which we no longer have, but we did have for the beginning of last year and into the summer a bit. I won't go into detail about all that this bike has taught me, but there's one valuable thing I experienced or something that's just gonna stay in my memory and my heart with this bike that happened this past year when we decided that we were trading it in for the V2. Everything was already basically done. It was gonna happen the next week. We just had the appointment of when to bring it in. I decided I was gonna ride the bike one last time just to say goodbye, which was stupid. I probably should have done that before, like signed all the paperwork and everything, but still, I did. The first time I took it out, there was standstill traffic on the highway on a hot summer day. And this last time, the same thing happened. As soon as I got on the highway, there was standstill traffic on a hot summer day, which on a Ducati is truly a test of one's not only patience, but ability to withstand heat. Once the traffic section ended to nothing, because that's usually what happens here, there's horrible traffic and all of a sudden it just eases up with nothing to really show for it. I started actually riding and like opening up the throttle a little bit more, and not even 10 minutes go by of me actually riding the bike and my phone flies out of my pocket on the highway and I watch it get run over by the car behind me through the side of your mirror. I pull over, like I go into the like emergency lane. It's not even the breakdown lane because it was on the left side. I pull over trying to find it. I don't know for what purpose. I just was like, I gotta find it. Like I have to find it. And when all seemed lost that I wasn't gonna find it because I was going up and down that like emergency lane, couldn't find anything about it. But finally I do, right? It's at that very last second. It's totally shattered. It's not turning on. It's not working, nothing. Luckily I had my watch and I was able to call people and notify people with the watch, but if I was gonna depend on the phone, I didn't have one. I put it back in my coat pocket and I zip up the pocket this time. I make sure to triple check, get back on the bike, and I'm gonna go onto the highway to get off at the next exit, turn around and go home. Again, I'm on that left side lane, which you're not supposed to be there. I know this. And as soon as I look behind me to see if I could go, like how the traffic situation is, who is coming in my direction? The police. No lights on or anything. They were going slow because they were kind of leading the traffic portion. I don't know what was going on. I don't know if it was construction. I don't know, but there were 2 to 3 police cars that were kind of leading the rest of the traffic in a slow manner. So there was ample room without any single car passing by for me to get on and leave and be fine, which I tried to do. But of course, as soon as I got on the highway, the cop turned on their lights, sirens, the whole thing, and not even like 10 yards from where I was stopped on the left side, I got pulled over on the right side. I explained to them what happened. I showed them my phone. I said I was just trying to go home at this point. And I also said I was aware that that wasn't a breakdown lane. I wasn't supposed to be stopped there, but I just was looking for my phone. And they let me go. Nothing happened. Again, this all under a hot summer sun. And of course, you'd think like after sitting in traffic, under the heat, having my phone fly out and get shattered, which was my fault, not the bike's fault, but still that happened. Looking for it on the breakdown lane, getting pulled over, under the sun again. You'd think I'd be in a horrible mood and I just want to go home. Everything's kind of the worst right now. And I gotta figure out how I'm gonna get another phone, what's going on. Like just get home as quickly as possible and end this whole day, right? But when I got off the highway, I found myself taking the longest way home through back roads because I was having fun on my bike and I was enjoying riding and I was smiling under my helmet and having a good time and enjoying every single second that I was on that bike on the ride back home because it was a fun bike. It sounded great. It brought a smile to my face every time I rode it, and the joy that that bike gave me was greater than what had just happened in that whole ordeal. So I'm really thankful that I got to experience that with the Monster. The next 2 bikes that I'm going to talk about honestly make up the bulk of my feelings for this past year, starting with the Ducati. I don't think that I have even fully believed that I rode this bike on the track numerous times. I don't think I've fully comprehended that I actually did that. I've always appreciated sports bikes for what they are, for all they're capable of doing, for really the machines of speed and all that stuff that they are. I appreciate them. I can marvel at them for that. But I never, I want to emphasize here, never thought I would ride one for a long period of time other than just like maybe testing 1 or 2, let alone have one. So much so that I would jokingly say that I wanted a Ducati, but I wanted a Ducati sports bike as decoration. Like I wanted it as an art piece in my home because they're so beautiful and I appreciate them so much, but I wouldn't ride one. Cue to the summer of 2021, and here I am riding one. Sure, yeah, okay, I'm in novice group and I cried and I freaked out. Mistakes were made. Mistakes were definitely made. Mistakes will continue to be made. Starting with buying a bike that's too powerful for me to handle. But that's not the point. The point is that I not only did it, but that I enjoyed it so much that I couldn't wait to go back. I even loaded the van up by myself, went up to the track by myself, and was willing to spend the day there by myself because I enjoyed it that much. But luckily my friend came through and I was never alone. But I was willing to do it, which before I'd be like, who comes to the track and spends the whole day by themselves? Like why? Where's the fun in that? And I was willing to do it, to spend the day with the bike. I think this bike also helps me with my imposter syndrome. I have huge imposter syndrome when it comes to riding. It took me a while to realize this, but after like researching it and really trying to figure out why I feel the way I feel about riding, like why I freak out so much about it, I discovered that what I feel is imposter syndrome. I've had my motorcycle license for years now. I've ridden different kinds of bikes. I've seen in group rides my riding ability be better than that of people that walked in like full of confidence and being, you know, super cool looking. Yet I consistently feel like I don't belong in this community through no fault of anybody in the community except my own head. That's it. Like I always feel that soon somebody is just gonna call me out and be like, hey, you're not a real motorcycle rider. And I'll be like, oh That's right. Oh my God, they caught me. They found out this whole time. And this isn't a fear that I have like just at the track or about track riding. No, it's everywhere. It's like when I park my bike, I'm like, somebody's gonna get out of their car and be like, hey, and I'm like, uh-huh. Or when I'm at a light, somebody's just gonna roll down their window and be like, what? And it's everywhere. I don't know why. I know I'm still very much a beginner in a lot of aspects to riding, but I also recognize that I have enough experience riding to be able to at least confidently say that I ride, but I don't know, I just feel like a fake. But when I look at the Ducati and all that I was able to accomplish and experience on it, I remind myself that like, yeah, I did that. I struggled, but I held my own. I didn't say I held it together because I didn't, but I held my own. I did it. I didn't give up. I'm happy that by the end of it, I stayed out for the entire duration of the session. Like before, I'd be like, no, this is frustrating. My hand hurts. I can't, I'm overwhelmed. Bye. And I'd leave. But I got to the point where I'm like, no, I just gotta do it. And then you'd see the checkered flag and you're like, no. I was even able to experience complete peace of mind on the track on a sports bike. I thought that if that ever happened, it would have been on a supermoto because that's usually where I lean towards. And I haven't since then been able to really fully experience that peace of mindness, but I experienced, like that happened. I genuinely always want to cry when I think about this bike, when I think of what it's done for me personally, how I've grown as a person internally or like emotionally with this bike. If I stay here talking about it long enough, I will cry because it truly is, it changed my life. But this Ducati to me it's like that personal trainer that believes in you more than you believe in yourself. Kind of like Libby, and pushes you to be better, not because they have these expectations from you, but because they know you are better than that. Like you just have to believe it. And then when you get there, you're like overflowing with joy and energy and just so proud of yourself. And that's what this bike has done for me. I have nothing but absolute love for this bike and for everything that it's taught me this past year. I am saving the best for last. As if it could get any better than that, it does. With my trusty and true DR650. I know, what a follow-up, right? But it's true. This bike has been the bike of my dreams and I own it. Thanks to the incredible people in my life. And there's that saying that's like, never meet your heroes, but that wasn't true for me with this bike. If the Ducati is like the personal trainer pushing you to be the best version of yourself, the DR is that friend that feels like home. That friend that you don't have to push yourself around because they'll always love you no matter who you are, no matter what version of yourself you decide to be that day. They accept you and it's totally fine. And I really need to stop putting so much feelings and like thoughts into motorcycles. But that's how I feel, okay? I went on my very first long trip on the DR this past summer. I don't know if it really counts because there was a lot of highway, but I would think that 4 hours each way counts as a long road trip by yourself on a motorcycle, especially on the DR, on the highway. Then it's definitely long. And it was everything that you would expect it to be. Many stops for gas, lots of like wobbling at higher speeds behind trucks or when I'm getting passed by trucks. Frequent back stretches like mid-ride, but I did it. Not only did I check off do a road trip on a bike off my to-do list, but on my way back home, I even took the longer way to get to my house. Like I literally went around my house and came back to it just so I could ride a little more and enjoy my time on it that much longer. Of course, it helps tremendously that the weather was perfect, that I have an incredible support system that I know will help me if I need it. So that reassurance and support is encouraging, right? I don't feel like I'm actually going it alone because I always have help if I need it. And maybe that also helps the trip be as enjoyable as it was. Even now in the winter, I know I can take this bike out anytime, no problem. And I've already taken it out twice this winter for like short little trips, but it's fine. I don't have to worry about it. It's no crazy prep time or anything other than the basics, and it's there. It's reliable, it's fun, and it's my DR, guys. To many people, the DR is kind of like the black sheep of this Ice Age group of bikes that we have. But to me, the DR is like the star on the top of the tree. It just makes everything that much more special. Like, I appreciate all the other bikes that I have because I know I have the DR. The DR and the Ducati honestly are like the two halves of my heart, or at least they have been this past year. I have a feeling they will continue to be so this coming year. And I'm so thankful for this last year on bikes, my experiences, the lessons, the frustrations, the tears, the screams inside the helmet, the thrill, everything. It was a year of stepping out of my comfort zone so much on motorcycles, but it was so worth it. And the best part of it all to me is that we have a whole other year to experience all that and more on another bike this time. So that's my year in bikes. I know I put so much feelings into these. It's weird. I get it. I'm an only child, okay? I don't know what to tell you. I hope you had a safe and very happy holiday season, and that this new year will be your most bike-filled year yet. Thank you so much. I will see you next time. Bye.